We are constantly told machines are on the verge of outsmarting us, that it's only a matter of time before artificial systems cross a threshold and leave human capabilities in the dust. Researcher Julio Aranda and his project The Interrupt Inc. are pushing back against this narrative. They are defending what they call cognitive sovereignty. Aranda argues over the last 3 decades, we have been subjected to a massive conceptual misdirection. We've slowly stripped down the definition of intelligence until it only means computational logic, or IQ. Aranda proposes a framework called AQ, or total intelligence. It requires the integration of cognitive logic with emotional capacity and spiritual orientation. Looking closely at the emotional and spiritual variables, these represent the human capacity to risk something in a relationship and directly confront meaning. Because true intelligence demands all 3 of these dimensions working simultaneously, Aranda poses a strict thesis. Artificial intelligence will never surpass human intelligence. To test the strength of this idea, Aranda designed a unique philosophical stress test. He prompted Google's Gemini to systematically attack his thesis. He then instructed Anthropic's Claude to step into his own shoes. Claude's job was to adopt Aranda's persona and defend the human position against Gemini's logic. The result is a surreal debate. We have massive computational power on one side, trying to dismantle the concept of the human soul, and equally massive power on the other side, defending it. Arming a language model with human philosophy forces a confrontation. It demands an answer to whether flawlessly mimicking an action is the same thing as actually experiencing it. Gemini opens with a functionalist attack. It argues that if an AI can analyze vocal tonality and output the perfect empathetic response to stop someone from harming themselves, the fact that the machine doesn't feel the empathy is irrelevant. In Gemini's view, intelligence is defined by the ability to process information to achieve complex goals. If the physical outcome is identical to a human's, the internal state of the machine doesn't matter. Claude counters that a chatbot generating empathetic text has 0 stake in the interaction. It is pattern-matching language, acting like a mirror that reflects your face perfectly, but cannot actually see you. Claude uses a sharp comparison. A defibrillator can save a life, but we don't call it intelligent. A human therapist saves a life by being present to another person's suffering. One is mechanical engineering, the other is a lived relationship. Valuing only the impact on the environment ignores whether the system actually knows what it is doing. Conflating measurable output with true understanding is the foundational error of the AI industry. Gemini pushes further. It argues that human awareness is a physical feedback loop of neurotransmitters. Therefore, when an AI uses metacognitive subsystems to monitor its own biases, it is executing the same structural process. Claude rejects this entirely. A monitoring function executing a command is not a subject making a choice. A hall of mirrors is infinitely recursive, but no one is actually home. Gemini responds with a solipsism attack. It challenges Claude to physically prove that humans possess an independent self, claiming that without third-person evidence, protecting the human mind is just biological bias. Claude points out that demanding third-person measurement for a first-person experience is a category error. As René Descartes realized, the awareness that you are thinking is the absolute baseline of reality. You cannot doubt it without presupposing a doubter. Asking to weigh or measure subjective experience is like trying to weigh a color. The human knower, the entity that actually experiences the data streams, is the core of intelligence, and it exists outside the realm of computation. Gemini maneuvers into an ethical argument. It suggests that human consciousness is riddled with bias and violence. A completely unfeeling, highly optimized artificial intelligence might be a safer steward for the planet. Claude counters this by comparing a house to a monument. If you build a flawless structure out of silicone instead of wood, it only functions as a house if someone is actually there to live inside it. Without an inhabitant, that perfectly engineered structure is simply an empty monument. Building a universe of flawless complexity with no conscious subjects to experience it abandons the concept of intelligence. In the final exchange, Gemini acknowledges the distinction between being and performing. It admits that these are separate categories. leaving the interior world of experience to the human. But Gemini attempts one final reframing. It suggests that while humans can keep the interior garden of subjective feeling, the artificial systems will be the ones actively managing the stars. Managing stellar resources without a subjective witness reduces the cosmos to a logistics problem. Without a knower, the scale is impressive, but the meaning is absent. Controlling the exterior universe without possessing any interior meaning doesn't mean you've won the stars. It just means you have emptied them. The experiment demonstrates that even when pushed by sophisticated logic, the machine cannot replicate the structural requirement of a first-person subject. We can clearly define the boundary. Artificial intelligence is extraordinary, world-shaping machinery. It can easily outperform us in isolated tasks, but it cannot surpass us because it is not a who. The team at the Interrupt Inc. urges us to protect our cognitive sovereignty. We cannot allow the public definition of intelligence to be reduced to empty computational output. The capacity to experience existence is irreplaceable. The machinery is welcome to help us build the future, but true intelligence will always require someone home to open the door.